I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined here by Timothy L. Raynor of Final Exam and a lot of other cool things we'll talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. So, first of all, I guess, how did you get involved in Final Exam back in 81? When did you film it?
It was like the end of 1980, and I think it was released in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I guess it's basically, it's like with everything else, being in the right place at the right time. You know, I knew this guy, his name was Rod Sakarnowski, his old martial arts friend. He and I was with Ed Parker out in Shelby, North Carolina at the EO Motion Picture Studios, you know, and that's how I got to know him. And I was out in California and I decided, well, I'm going to stop in and see this guy. Mm-hmm. So when I did, I walked into his office and there was a guy sitting there, had a beard, jeans on, scrubby t-shirt, cowboy boots, you know, and he looks at me and he goes, "I want you." And I said, "Excuse me? What? You want me?" He goes, "Yeah." "Well, no, don't take it wrong." I said, "My name is Jimmy Houston. Okay. I wrote the script for Final Exam and my friend here was telling me all about you and I'd like you to audition for the role of the killer." Okay, you know, I've never auditioned for a film before in my life, you know, so I said, "Okay, I don't know, sure, cool." You know, I've done a lot of live on stage swords and sorcery stuff, you know, for Star Trek events, you know, and Klingons and that, but never auditioned for anything. So, well, come the day of the audition, I come dressed up in a 3-piece suit. Okay, I have my gear with me, my gi and all my weapons and that, and I walk in and all these guys are coming in. They're wearing shorts, sandals. You know, one guy had a big afro and a beard, you know, and a t-shirt on and shorts. And there's all kinds of stuff, you know. And I said, well, I'm really overdressed, you know. So I got dressed in my gi and I went out there and I blew my wad in the first 5 minutes. Did everything I could. Mm. So Jimmy Houston comes over to me and he whispers, "Can you do anything else?" I just did everything I could. I don't know what else I could do. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen my IMDb thing. Okay, I have my film reel on there. At the end of it, I break 1,200 pounds of ice. Okay, with my hand, and I do that for charity purposes to raise money. You know, but the only other thing I could think of doing was a 6-inch palm strike, and concentrating on knock the guy back as far as I can. You know, and I do that. You know, using chi or ki as you call it. Well, that's the only thing I can think of doing. And usually I put a pad on a guy's chest, you know, in order to do it. So I took the biggest guy in the audience, which is the guy with the big afro and a beard, brought him out, put him on the edge of the mat. They brought out a Los Angeles County phone book. I put it on his chest and I had him hold it. And I said, "This is what I'm going to do. And I said, I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. I'm going to knock you back as far as I can." And he's kind of like snotty. And he goes, "Okay, yeah, sure." You know, like this. Well, I don't know what came over me, but when he did that, I must have really got fired up, because when I hit this guy, it's just like you see in a cartoon. He went zing across the mat, full 10 feet across the mat, landed on his back, and if the fans are listening, excuse my language, and this is his quote: "Jesus fucking Christ, that's the hardest I've ever been hit in my life." Rolls over and walks off. Never heard from him. Didn't see him again for the rest of the day. So 2 weeks go by, and Jimmy Houston finally calls me, and he goes, "Tim, you got the role as a killer." "All right, cool, man." You know, so he goes, "Yeah, the executive producer was really impressed with you." And I said, "Who's that?" "That's the guy you knocked on his ass." Had I known that was John Chambers.
Right, you probably wouldn't have done it. Yeah,
I
picked a different guy, maybe. Yeah,
I don't know, but that's how I did it. That's how I got into it.
That's pretty wild. So, were you familiar with like horror movies and slasher films?
Not really, no. That was my first introduction into anything like that. You know, yeah. Same thing with doing the stunts and that. That's how I got my start in stunts.
Okay, so you said you had a background doing live stuff, like as a Klingon and stuff. Was that where was that?
Well, it started out in Connecticut, Norwich, Connecticut. We started doing demonstrations up and down the East Coast. You know, you go to different tournaments and do different things. You can dress up as, for doing different genre, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we won a couple of good ones, you know. And a friend of mine invited us to a Star Trek, I guess it was a con.
Yeah.
And he was actually the MC there. And he wanted us to actually be the security for the team, for the Star Trek guys. So I don't know if you know who Carl Strucken is. That's he guys.
Oh yeah, I've actually had him on the show. He's he was really, he still is a really tall guy.
Yeah, he's like 7 foot tall. Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine now. And LeVar Burton, and John Delancey. And so we bodyguarded all those, but we also did the show, with the Klingons and the weapons, and that we made our own weapons, and we got a pretty good reputation doing that. And then I think it was Carl that says, you ought to go to California. You ought to go out there and bring your stuff out there. Well, here I am. That's how I got there.
Yeah. So so when you try out for a movie and you get it, did you read the script before you even trying out yet?
No, they didn't even show me the script. Nope, not at all. I just they just put me on a plane and flew me to North Carolina, and that was it.
So once you get the movie, I assume you look at the script.
Well, I saw the only thing they gave me was the action scenes.
Okay.
I choreographed all the action scenes, all the killing scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a lot of good things in there, like the first opening scene of the killing.
Yeah, it opens right away with you jumping on the car and ripping it up.
That car is actually going down the hill with me on top of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when the first time we did the first shot, the first take, I can't remember the kid's name that I killed, but when I drove the knife through the top of the canvas, his face was like 2 inches away from the knife.
Oh, so it was a real knife.
Oh yeah, it was a real knife. It was razor sharp.
Yeah.
So, that's how.
Did you just assume that's how things were done? At the time, like you don't use prop weapons, just use real knife. I don't know.
Well, there were some prop weapons that we used. In the scene where I pop out of the barrel, and kill. What was his name? I can't think of his name now. His name was John Fallon was the actor.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a double take. The popping out of the barrel. I do the motion. They cut it, and then they put they cut the knife in half, and they put put it into a plaque, and then they have him just fall down with a knife in him. Mm-hmm. So that was it.
Yeah. So when you said you choreographed the stunts, like were they written out like what they were going to be, or did you kind of have a role in that, like how things?
Yeah, they said, how do you want to do this? Mm-hmm. I said, okay, well, let me see. Well, like with the barrel. Okay, when I popped out of it, there was no freaking way I could fit in that barrel.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. You really want me to do this?
Uh-huh.
So I looked at the barrel and I said, talked to the grips and that stuff. Gene Poole was one of the grips. As a matter of fact, Gene Poole, if you watched him, he was the guy that carried the garbage out on the back steps.
Okay. I know the scene. Yeah, and he kind of looks back at the girl when she's walking up. So.
Yeah, and Courtney came around, and as a matter of fact, the guy that she bumps into, that was Lon Kerr. He was one of the producers. Okay, so they kind of like put everybody in there. Mm-hmm. But I talked to them and said, look, the only way I'm going to do this is you got to cut this barrel out in half. Okay, so they cut the whole back out and placed it so that I could, actually sit underneath it and then pop up.
Yeah,
that's how they did it.
Yeah. So I did doing like the live stuff as the Klingons and the things like that. Do you think that helped you to become a stunt choreographer?
I actually, I think I've been a choreographer since I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
You know how you cowboys and Indians and all that stuff. The buddies that I used to hang around with, where I was living, we used to have these mock fight scenes, and all that stuff, and shoot 'em outs. Right. And I think my career started when I got into the martial arts, and on my first trip out to California before I went into the Navy. When I was in high school, I met Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, nice.
Before he was actually on Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
Okay, he came to our high school. He did a stint. He's a quick change artist, by the way. He could play somebody, go around the screen, change into a different costume, and come out and play the other character. And that's what he did for us. He at the end of the show, we had a question and answer session, and we asked him, I said, "What are you doing now?" And I quote him. He says, "Well, I just signed this contract for this silly science fiction show. I didn't know what he meant. So
Right.
a couple months later, I see this guy with these ears, on the new Star Trek show. I said, wow, that was him.
Yeah. Became iconic. Yes.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how my whole thing got started there.
Mm-hmm. So you said the car's really rolling down the hill and you got a real knife and everything. Was there any injuries from yourself doing the film?
Not from me, no, but Ralph Brown almost died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wild man.
What?
Yeah. The fight scene we did in the gym, I have to give him a great kudos for that, because he's had never done a fight scene before in his life. Nothing, no action, anything. And he came through like a champ, Mm-hmm. In the scene, when you see me throw him up against the weight machine and I punch him, my fist actually connected to his jaw.
Oh, geez.
Okay. But that, I saw it happening and I couldn't pull back, but I opened up my hand, and my hand, just hit him in the face, and he snapped to the side really good. But in the scene where I pull out the weights and I wrap the cable around his neck and he flies back against the cable and breaks his neck. Well, I did all the rigging for this thing, for that. And unbeknown to me, when I left the scene, I was on the other side of the room. The director decided they wanted to shoot another scene with just Ralph throwing himself up against the weight machine with the cable wrapped around his neck. Mm-hmm. Well, he did it, but I only tightened the cable around just a little bit, So when he hit the cable, the machine, and he slumped down, you could see it starting to twist up.
Oh, yeah.
It completely choked him out. He was dangling and he was shaking like this. And I turned around and I looked and I go, that's not in the script. So I ran over there. I pushed Daryl Cathcart, the cinematographer, John, and everybody out of the way. Okay. And I grabbed him and I picked him up, unwrapped him, and laid him on the ground, and I revived him right there. If it was any longer, he probably would have been gone.
Wow. Anything else like that? Not just in Final Exam, but later on in your career?
No, I've been pretty cautious.
Yeah.
I've been pretty cautious doing stuff like that. You get bumps and bruises. I mean, some of my guys have gotten cut with the swords that we've done. We've practiced with, because they're steel. They're not fake. But as far as anything really serious, no. Yeah. We try to make everything happen just right. Even in some of the stunt driving I've done, it's all choreographed just right.
Mm-hmm. Along those lines, I mentioned earlier before we started recording that I interviewed the Iron Sheik, but I've interviewed a lot of wrestlers, and a lot of them later in life, it's not even if just from one big move, it's just from the bumps over time. They have a lot of, problems with their hips and knees. And how are you physically?
It's not bad. I get out in the morning, and I say, I'm thankful to get out of bed, but doing the martial arts every day, keeps me limber and, and carefree. I do have a good diet and vitamin content, especially a lot of vitamin C. That helps with the muscles and that and bones. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. You said, stunt driving. Now, I know you have a background in martial arts, but the stuff like stunt driving, is this something you picked up along the way? Like when you started to get into movies?
Yeah, it's like, can you drive this car? Yeah, how hard do you want me to drive it? And they give you a direction to go, and they say, can you do this? And I say, well, I can give it a try, and it just escalates from there. There's a couple of videos that I'll send you. You can take a look at some of the stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
It's not great, but they're okay.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the weirder things you've been asked to do in a movie, like you never thought you'd be doing?
Well, I have to go back to Final Exam. That was the killing of the pledge on the tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. In order to do that scene right, they had to bring in 2 semi-trailers, 14 feet high, put 2 planks across it, and I had to walk out and hover above the kid as he walked underneath it and drop down from 14 feet above him. Mm-hmm. And land on top of him and not hurt him when I did it. So, and I had to tell the guy, I says, look, as soon as you feel my hand touch your shoulder, drop. My groin muscles ached. I could only do that scene once.
Right.
because I had to land with my legs spread apart, and it just I almost ripped my groin out doing that because I had to land on it. But other than that, everything else I've done has been pretty much safe.
Yeah. Is that part of the fun for you though? Kind of the problem solving, like let's figure out how we can do this.
Oh yeah, in any kind of action scene, action movie, even in Keanu Reeves, he has a say in what he does, as far as his fighting and his action scenes. Then as you get older, I've done more choreography now than actually doing the stunts. I find it more fun seeing somebody else doing it than me getting out there and risking my neck.
Right.
I hate to say it that way, but it's true.
Yeah, no, I understand. Now, Jimmy Houston, is that the same Jimmy Houston who went on to become a TV fisherman?
TV fisherman? I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, because there's a wildlife show, Jimmy Houston Outdoors, and he's a
no, that's not him. No, that's not him. No.
All right, because I was curious if he ever went fishing with Jimmy Houston, but it's a different guy.
No, Jimmy's retired. He's out here in California somewhere.
Did you keep up with him at all after Final Exam?
He was the only one I kept up with. All the other than what's his name? Radish, Joel Rice.
Oh, okay.
I contacted him a couple of times, but he's a big time producer now. He doesn't
really?
want to talk
I didn't
to
know
anybody.
that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He
won't even talk to me.
Oh well, we'll forget that guy then. But I did see that was his first movie too, in Cecil Baghdadi. So if a bunch of you people, it was your first feature film together.
That's what it was. Yeah. With Cecile, I would be out on the in Earl Ormsby's studio. He's got several sound stages out there. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like in a farm field. Okay, he's got big sound stages. He built it for himself to make his own movies. Okay, and he's got his own airstrip right there. So I would take Cecile out in the morning, and we'd go out and practice a little bit of martial arts before we go in and actually do the shoots. Of course, not that she needed it, but that was it.
Yeah,
she liked it. She enjoyed doing it.
Mm-hmm. Did you come up with a backstory for your character at all?
Oh man, I've been asked that so many times.
Really?
There was really no backstory, but what I keep telling people is if you watch the film, you got to listen to the first 5 minutes of the film. Radish actually conjures up the killer. Okay. Mm-hmm. And because of his fascination with killers. So that's the only thing I can think of is he actually generated the killer to come out from nowhere. Okay. Cause I'm somebody with no name.
Right. Yeah.
I come out of, that was it.
Interesting. I read that they said that the Radish character was an inspiration for Scream later on, which I thought was interesting.
I didn't know that, but I do know that Final Exam was mentioned in, I think it was Scream 2.
Oh, okay.
When the kids were sitting around talking, they were talking about horror movies, and they did mention Final Exam.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. What did you think of the first time you see the finished Final Exam? What did you think of it?
I don't, my reaction was like, wow, I actually did that. I did something. Like
right.
That. It's like, and then you just sit there and going, boy, I want to do it again. And I want to do it again. Yeah. I want to do it again. Because you get this attitude. It's like a family when you're shooting, and the crew, every time I killed somebody, they would start singing, another one bites the dust, yeah, another one bites the dust. They'd start playing it.
Yeah.
And another one's down, and another one's down. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see it? Did you see it with an audience in a theater?
No, I saw it actually in a drive-in.
Oh, cool.
I didn't even know I had an IMDb credit for it.
Oh, really?
Until somebody told me about it. Yeah. So I looked it up on IMDb and said, wow, my first IMDb credit. Oh, cool.
Yeah. When did you discover that? I talked to a lot of people similar thing. They didn't realize that people, still followed their movies or whatever, till the internet came around.
That amazed me because every Halloween, every October, I get all these requests to sign posters, videos and that stuff from the internet. and I'm glad to do them.
Yeah.
You know, but I've never once in 40 years been invited to a con.
Yeah, I noticed you mentioned this, and I'm now no promises, but I'm going to try to help make this happen because no offense to anybody I see at conventions, but you see a lot of the same people, and horror fans love, countless horror movies, and it would be cool to see some new people.
I would think so, but tell you the truth, I wouldn't know what to do at a con. I would not know. I hear my friend Carl. He's been to several Star Trek cons, a couple of horror cons. And it's like, yeah, you go, you take your pictures with you, sign them, and I don't know.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. A cheap plug. There's an interview with him from a few years ago on my website, but a very nice guy.
Yes. As a matter of fact, we're scheduling to have a picnic with him in a week or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he's still active. He still pops up in some pretty big stuff. Like
yeah. We were. I was in another film with him, and I didn't even know it. I was like I did a background acting gig I was a priest, and he's actually doing an interview in a park, and I didn't even know it until I actually saw our credits together on the film. I called him up. And, what are you doing? He didn't even tell me you were there.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you were there.
That's pretty wild.
He's got this very dry humor. That you really got to understand him when he talks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He told me that when he was young, living in Holland, Netherlands, that if his car got boxed in by some other people, he would actually go out and pick up the car and move it himself. Yeah, he's that strong.
Yeah, I love it. So I read that Final Exam was banned, in Europe for a while because it was considered a video nasty.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No, I did not know that at all.
That's pretty wild.
The Chinese didn't like it.
Europe. So.
Oh, it's not yours. Chinese.
Whatever.
You want to know about some other incidences that happened? When Radish comes up to the door and said, Courtney, let me in, Courtney, like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I punched through the door and grab him,
Yeah.
He was supposed to have his face off to the side. In the first take, when we were getting ready to do it, his face was right in front of the panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already started to swing, and when Jimmy Houston yelled, cut. Do you know how hard it is to stop a punch in midair, mid-flight at full speed?
All right.
And it was like, wow. But if you watch the scene closely, you'll see that even though his head was off to the side, the panel nicks him on the head.
Oh, it does, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
That is. And Deanna Robbins, in the scene where I kill her,
mm-hmm.
she demanded that, and she and Jimmy were kind of like, like this, she demanded that nobody else could be on the set except me, her, Jimmy, and the cinematographer, because she was nude.
Right.
That's why she did it.
Mm-hmm. So, I know you're married now. I don't know if you were married then. So was you involved with any of the actresses filming Final Exam?
No. I keep my little head where it's supposed to be. And I don't get involved with it.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble or anything. I'm just curious.
No. She knows all. She's an actress too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. She worked for Brandon Braga on Star Trek Enterprise. She was his personal assistant, and she was actually in the pilot episode of Enterprise. She was the Lorellian mom. If you ever watch it, she's actually in the scene where Trip and T'Pol are on the planet, and she's teaching her kid to breathe oxygen. Mm-hmm. That's her in costume and makeup.
Oh, really cool. Yeah, I know it's a horror show, but I'm a big Star Trek fan too. I like movies and TV in general, but
yeah, she's a bigger fan of Star Trek than I am. So
okay, what kind of movies do you like?
I'm a big sci-fi action fan. I like a lot of Dwayne Johnson's films. I think he's great. Have you seen Rampage?
Yeah. I used to play the video game too. So
yeah, that was a good show for him. I like that. And the Jungle Cruise was good for him too. I like that.
I haven't seen it.
That's good movie. But yeah, we both kind of like the action stuff, but she'll sit in front of the TV and watch these, I don't know what you want to say, love stories, on different channels. I can't watch them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you know if anything was cut out of the final exam?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. And there's a couple of trivia things here too. Okay, I should mention to you.
Yeah.
The scene, I'll start with that first. The scene where the sheriff comes running, driving up, the license plate that they call off, MPM.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know what that stands for?
No.
Motion Picture Marketing.
Okay.
That was the name of the production company John Chambliss had. And they used John Chambliss's name as his father.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit of trivia there.
That's cool.
Okay. But yeah, you remember the scene where I come down the elevator or the food tray thing, and I come out and like that? She actually has a knife in her hand and she spins around and stabs me with it. They cut that scene out. So it was a good scene too.
Yeah.
But
I know things were different back then. Today they film digitally, so I'm just wondering if any of that's like kept somewhere where if they could add it to
I don't know.
Director's cut or anything.
I do know that I blew the ears off of the sound guy though.
Oh yeah, doing what scene was that?
Well, in the same scene, I pull the knife out and I look at her, okay, and then I throw the knife down, and it lands on the stainless steel countertop, and the sound guy had his mic right underneath the stainless steel countertop.
Yeah,
and he had it turned up loud. So when that knife hit, his earphones go zing. Like he's holding his ears because he didn't expect it.
Right. Was there any other trivia or things that stand out to you from final exam?
Let me see. Boy. I know the crew didn't like John Fallon.
Why was that?
Oh, he was that character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was that character. Yeah, I almost punched him out one day. So yeah, he was just a snotty kid. Ralph was great. Joel was great. Cecile was great. Oh yeah, a little bit of trivia. In the scene where I grab I can't remember the character's name. Where she's looking for the pledge.
Okay.
And she goes up on the observatory there, and the light comes on, and she runs. Mm-hmm. Okay. She runs along the side of the building. I reach out, grab her, and pull her in. Okay. That scene, if you notice when she's walking along, you'll see a lot of weeds and stuff like that on the side of the building. Mm-hmm. That poor girl, 3 times in a row, 3 different takes, she tripped on these weeds before she got to me. Fell flat on her face. So the crew got out there and removed all the weeds along the wall so she could run right into my arm. So,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not much of a trivia thing, but
no, but I think it's cool. Yeah. And so I know they put out the special edition Blu-ray a few years ago.
Yeah, that was Joel Rice's thing. Yeah. Yeah, Joel Rice did that, and he didn't even invite me to it.
Oh, really? Well, that's not... How can they not invite the killer of the movie?
Story of my life, man. Yeah, really. I don't know.
So you're not involved? There's not interviews or anything with you on that?
Nope.
That's crazy. Nope. Well,
then
needs to be a better release with yourself included.
Yeah, but I think Joel's gotten into a bigger. He's a big producer now, and he had Cecile on it, and then I think he had somebody else on it too, but didn't even bother. I mean, I'm on the internet. Everybody knows where I am. He had my email because I've emailed him a couple times. So I don't know.
Do you think was there ever any disagreements between you two, or just No,
not at all. Oh, there's another bit of trivia here. I just thought of it. Jerry Rushing, who played Coach.
You're right.
Okay. Did you know that Jerry Rushing and Johnny Rushing are the real Dukes of Hazzard?
I did not know that.
Yes, he and his brother Johnny are the real Dukes of Hazzard, is what the story is based after. There is a real Boss Hogg. There is a Hazard County, and before Jerry got to the shoot, he had just gotten out of jail for punching Boss Hogg into the back of a.
That's amazing. I love this story.
Yeah, and he is a North Carolina State archery champion, and he did shoot that arrow at me, and I did catch it.
Real? See, I actually had that in my notes about and I thought, they probably did it with the thing, but you really caught that.
Here's a story about it. When we were out on the quad iron, they're out there practicing it. Okay, Jerry was shooting the arrow at me, but off to the side, of course, so I wouldn't become a pinfish.
Right.
Okay, I could see it coming at me, but it was like a pinpoint until it got almost to me, and I was hitting it and knocking it down. I wasn't catching it. So we practiced for about a half an hour. I still couldn't catch it. So we had to think of something because, Jimmy came over to us and he said, look, we got to shoot this scene.
Yeah.
If we have to, we'll throw it at you. I said, no. My reputation, it's my reputation here, as a martial artist. You see all these guys on TV catching these arrows, Kwai Chang Kane, for Kung Fu. Yes, I'm going to do it for real. I'm not going to have somebody throw this damn thing at me. So he goes, okay, $1,000 a take. I go, oh boy. So after talking to Jerry, I said, can we do something? So what he did was he put extra feathers on the arrow at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So when he comes in and he says, you take one more step towards my, that girl, I'm gonna have your head on my wall. He pulls it back. If you look real close, you can see the extra feathers. So when he shot it at me, I snatched it out of midair. Mm-hmm. And I went, I ruined the whole freaking take. Yeah, that was. I said, well, they all laughed about it, So yeah, I caught it 5 out of 7 times.
Oh wow, that's awesome! I like that the killer would be very excited that he caught the arrow. So
that's a true thing. I did catch it. Yes. There's also another bit part. Two things about that scene. When I come down the stairs and stab him with his own arrow, mm-hmm. you see him fall back.
Yeah.
Right. When he fell back, he dislocated his shoulder. Okay. So when you see him drive up and reach in and grab the bow out of the back of the pickup and run in, you can see him holding they shot that scene afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Actually holding his arm real close to his body.
Yeah.
It was dislocated.
Oh, wow.
But here's a bit of a trivia. You probably didn't notice either.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
In what hand did the killer have the knife as he was walking up the stairs?
I'm not sure.
He had it in his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
What hand did he have it when he caught the arrow?
No, it had to be his left because I know you do catch the arrow with the right.
I'm right-handed, so I switched it as we got up there.
Yeah.
Nobody even noticed that.
Interesting. That's very cool. So you said, when you see the movie for the first time, you think, man, this is something I want to keep doing. So what happens after a final exam? What do you go from there?
Well, I did a lot of stuff, and I moved back to Chicago, actually, Rockford, Illinois, and I opened up a martial arts school. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of different short movies in there. It wasn't much, but it added to my resume, so I could actually get out there and, do more. And after I decided to actually go full steam into it, I gave my school to one of my black belts, and I said, I'm really going to try this, for the rest of my life, because I both my martial arts and my my acting had come together, and I finally got an agent. So I came out here and I started doing, different shorts and that, out here. And I've been on Star Trek a couple of times as a Klingon. I was on Monk for a while. I did a stint on Sarah Connor Chronicles, like that. And you just start building up more and more. And now I'm even writing a sequel to Final Exam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So will you reprise your role, or?
Well, it's going to be kind of like yes and no. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of older now, but basically it's called Final Exam Redemption. Okay. There's a new killer in town following the same steps as the former killer. Mm-hmm. And the first killer kind of like gets resurrected. Okay. And it's his redemption to stop this killer.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how it's going to be. I can't tell you more because I'm still writing.
But that's very cool. It's a perfect time to do it because we get a lot of sequels now to, movies from other generations. And also there's a lot of places for movies to go today, not just theatrically. There's a lot of streaming sites.
Exactly. The only problem we're having is actually finding the people that want to invest in it. It's difficult.
Yeah.
With any film. My wife has just finished writing a sequel to Star Trek Enterprise. Actually, it's a how can I put it? Not a sequel, but
spin-off,
like a follow-up to 15 years later.
Okay.
So and that's got some interest right now too.
Yeah, I mean, there's several Star Trek shows on. Was it Paramount Plus? I think.
Yeah, we've got Michael Dorn actually signed on as for the director.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Well, that's very exciting. I know there's, different ways you can go about it. I don't know if you've looked into crowdfunding or anything like that for funding things.
Yeah. And we're working on another, actually it's a sci-fi horror film. It's called Neoplasticity. It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic thing. Okay. We're inventing different types of, a new type of zombie in this thing.
Oh, nice.
They're called lurkers. And, it's kind of like World War Z meets Walking Dead with a touch of revolution.
Because people love zombies, but we have a lot of zombies. So if you have a new twist to it, I think that that really sets it off.
It's a little bit of a twist. As a matter of fact, Carl signed on to it too to play one of the characters, one of the creatures.
Oh, well, that's very exciting.
Yeah,
you'll get to work with them again.
Yeah. This time in the same set.
Yeah. Where can people follow you to see what you're up to? And
well, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm on Facebook. All you got to look. My Facebook is Hanshi Timothy L. Raynor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not Timothy L. Raynor. It's Hanshi. Hanshi is my rank in the martial arts.
Okay, I wasn't sure what that meant. Now I know.
Yeah, anybody above 8th degrees is it's called a Hanshi.
Okay. What type of martial arts are you involved in?
I'm involved in two basic ones that I follow for most of my life. One is Fu Jiao Bai Gong Fu. Okay, it's a tiger claw system. It's a 5-form fist system. It's got all the animals in that system. And the other is Shorinji Tetsuken Kempo. It's a system that came out of China, was brought to Japan, and modified by the Japanese. It's a system where anybody can learn it. It's a 50-50 hands and foot system. Okay, it's got arm locks, wrist lock, throws, blocks, punches, kicks, and it was a system that was actually made for the people. Anybody can learn it. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be a high kicker or anything like that. But it was developed specifically for the people. And I've been doing that for 50 years.
Oh wow! If MMA was around, like when you were when you were in your prime, I guess, would that have been something you would have pursued?
Well, I did actually fight, several tournaments and that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I stopped fighting in it because I almost killed one of the guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was supposed to be it was a Russian guy. I can't remember his name. It was supposed to be an exhibition match. Don't think of Rocky now, but
right.
It was an exhibition match for I think it was the Police Athletic League, and we were supposed to go out there and just go to it.
Yeah. And
he comes out fired, man. I mean, he was looking for the knockout, and he hit me once, knocked me back, and it's kind of like you click. That was it, So I moved in on him, swung at him once. He ducked one way, and I came up with a roundhouse kick and caught him right in the forehead. And it just laid him out. And I said, well, I'm done. Took a while to revive him. I didn't want to kill anybody.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
So I said that was it. So I just went into teaching after that.
Mm-hmm. Was that something you followed at all? The rise of UFC and Pride in Japan and the different mixed martial arts?
Yeah, I watch it every now and on YouTube and on Facebook if they have time they put something up. And I give these guys big kudos for going out there, man. I really do. I wouldn't want to do it now, but they have to understand one thing though. They call it ultimate fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been in real combat. I've been shot at. I've been stabbed. I know what real combat's like. Okay, they have to understand that even though they're calling it ultimate fighting and you're in a ring, there are still rules.
Mm-hmm.
You can still throw in that towel. You can still slap out.
Right.
As I teach my students on the street, there are no rules. You fight for your life. And everybody's got to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Original UFC had they still obviously you could throw in the towel and everything, but they did have less rules. Like you could do low blows and fish hooks and stuff, but
and choke outs, and all that. Yeah.
Right.
But it's gotten too dangerous, so they have to have more rules. So, but they have to understand, there's no rules on the street. Somebody picks up a knife and comes at you, I pick up a stick, it's something else, or a bigger knife.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had anything like that happen to you in the real world? Just out, I know you said you were in combat, but I mean, out in the real world, and you had to defend yourself?
A couple times, yeah. As a matter of fact, I had a guy pissing in the doorway of my school one day, and I had a big German Shepherd back then too, and he's barking his ass off, at the guy. And I go out, I tell him, I says, look, you can't do this in my doorway,
Yeah.
So he pushes at me and tries to grab me, and so I pushed him back, and I come to find out this guy was on PCP. Okay, he was drugged up big time. I kicked him underneath the chin. I had my combat boots on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath the chin, knocked him up and over the car, and he still got up. So the only thing I could think of doing, meanwhile, the neighbors have called the cops anyway, Now, meanwhile, the only thing I could do is just block him out of the way and get around and choke him out and hold him there. And even when I let him go, there was 6 police officers. They still couldn't get handcuffs on him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's scary out there.
Yeah.
When you're that well trained and you still hit somebody and they get up and look at you, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, they think just a normal person who has no training. What could they do in that moment?
Run.
Yeah, probably that's the best advice. Yeah.
If somebody pulls a knife on you, get the hell out of there. Don't try to fight them. Mm-hmm. The philosophy behind a knife fight, depending on who you are, you're gonna get cut.
Mm-hmm.
You are gonna get cut. There's no way around. I don't care how good you are. You're gonna get cut. Okay, and you can bring a knife to a gunfight. Okay, you ever hear of the 21-foot rule?
No.
Okay, the FBI has determined that any person with a knife within 21 feet of you will get to you.
Oh wow!
Even if you have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's called the 21-foot rule. So yeah, you have to be really careful out there. It's just your life isn't worth it.
Right.
If you have to fight. But run. There's no sense in being a hero. If your family's in danger and you have to do it, do it. I teach my students that everything is a weapon. If you have to fight, everything is a weapon. Your nail file, a pencil, a pen, anything. It's a weapon. I teach them how to use it. Your belt is a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to train to be able to use it right. You've got these schools that you can get a black belt in 6 months.
Right.
I call them bless you black belts. I'm serious. I had 2 black belts come into my school. They were Taekwondo black belts. I have nothing against Taekwondo. I mean, it's a great martial art.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys, they were great. They were good form and all that stuff. But they couldn't keep up with my beginner's class. They couldn't. I would take them through a SEAL workout. Some of my buddies were great SEALs when I was in the Navy. And I would take them through the SEAL workout as a beginner's class, okay? They couldn't keep up with it.
Wow.
They didn't have the stamina. I had one guy who had trained in Korea in Taekwondo come into my school, and we wanted to train. He was really good, very nice guy. And I would have, full contact fighting, once a week. And we put on the gloves, I put up a ring in the dojo and they go at it. So he came in, it was a Friday night. He came in and he goes, I want to try that. And I said, I really don't think you should do that. You're not really ready for it. No, I want to do it. Okay. So I took one of my green belts. I put him in the ring. This guy was a black belt from trained in Korea. So I put the gloves on him and squared him off in the ring and said, you ready? You know, and then Hajime, boom, boom, boom. The guy was out. He staggers over to the side of the ring and he goes, no, I got to try this again. I'm telling you, you're not ready for this. No, I got to do this. Same thing. Squared him off again. Hajime. He wasn't trained. He was a black belt, but he wasn't trained in how to fight. That's the way a lot of schools are today. You pay for your black belt, basically.
I think a lot of things are like that, martial arts included, but
but you're
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just,
No, it's not good. The thing is, I spent 50 some odd years. This is my life, training people. It takes 8 years to make a black belt in my school.
Right.
All right. You're training these people to believe that they're black belts in 6 months to a year. And you're teaching them to kill themselves. And they're going to get killed. They're thinking that they can do this and they can't.
Yeah. And it's also disrespectful to people who did put the time in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got to put the windows down here.
All right. Well, we can wrap up here. It's been very cool to talk with you. And it would be cool to have you back on when some of the stuff is, maybe when maybe if you're getting on a convention or the part 2 is more in the works.
I'm not, no offense to you, Neil, but I'm not going to hold you, okay?
Yeah.
About the convention. If it happens, I'll be very grateful, but it's been 40 years, man. 40 years and not one single invite. And I don't know why. Okay, sounds good, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. So have a good day.
You
have
too.
fun
Peace.
at the dog park. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Got to go to him. Have a good one, man.
You as well. Bye.